Welcome to the Green Room Podcast, a community-driven show born straight out of Discord where roleplayers, storytellers, and chaos makers gather to talk shop. This is a place where we pull back the curtain of the RP world, from Red Dead Redemption Frontier tales to the neon-lit streets of GTA Roleplay. We dive into the characters, the servers, the drama, the hilarious moments, and the craft behind immersive storytelling. The Green Room is exactly what it sounds like, the backstage lounge of roleplay. A place where creators, players, devs, and community members can relax, share experiences, swap ideas, and occasionally roast each other over the wild situations RP throws at us all. Expect conversations about server stories and unforgettable moments, character building and RP philosophy, community highlights and drama, the good kind, mostly. Tips behind the scenes, talk, and the future of RP. Whether you're a hardened outlaw from the Red Dead Frontier, a city veteran from GTA, or someone curious about stepping into the RP world for the first time, pull up a chair. The mic's live, the community's here, and the curtains are about to rise. Welcome to the Green Room Podcast. I am your host, Clusty, and I am joined by my fellow host, Serukka. Say hello, Serukka.
Hello there, Clusty. Thank you.
How are we today? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm feeling fine. Kind of excited to do this.
Yes, this is a first experience of doing a podcast here for the Discord community and such. But I'm excited to get into some burning questions that we've put forward to the community, as well as our own questions. We'll have some clips and videos to watch as well today. But how do you wish to start this experience here? Do you have a first question lined up for us, and what we can speak about there, Serukka?
I certainly do. First question would be, for me, general roleplay etiquette. What your thoughts are, like how one should behave, etc.
Okay, so what are you? How are you thinking? What's your thoughts on that question? Should we start with you to see?
Okay. It is a bit of a loaded question, right? And I realize that. But it's something I struggled with like a lot in the beginning. Like, how do you do a shootout, right? You don't just want to play a PvP match, right? You kind of want to make it fun. But how do you make it fun? Like, kind of just shooting in each other's direction. But the minute somebody decides, okay, I'm gonna get serious now, it's game over. Um, or when you're talking to people, how much room do you give to someone else? Like, it's still something to this day that I find like hard to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And I know it's something we talked about before as well, right?
I think.
Separately.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, role play, from my perspective and my opinion, is that you have to go into role play being selfless. You cannot really be a selfish role player, because it won't translate well for everyone. It might translate well for you to do selfish role play, but being selfless and having the understanding that, like I said to you many times, and people may have heard this before on stream, is that you are your own main character, but understand that you are a extra in everyone else's story. The idea behind that sentiment is that everyone is their own main character in their own story, but understand that if someone else is bringing you a story for you to be involved in, you are not necessarily the main character, and understand that your place within someone else's story could be a crucial role, it could be a minor role, but it is a role regardless, and you should kind of enter those scenarios with the idea that you are there to lift that situation and not take over or control that situation necessarily.
Yeah, it's actually a good one. I was because I do take I really like roleplay, right? I think especially over the last 2 years, I've grown to absolutely love it, and it's gone into somewhat of a passion. And I always want to like improve myself, right? So
Yeah.
I watch like occasionally some because I think roleplay has like a lot in common with improv, right?
Yeah.
So I like watch improv videos and stuff. And one of the tips they always say there is you make yourself look better by making someone else look better than you. Does that make sense? Like you
Yeah,
assist
exactly.
the other person. Yeah.
That's kind of the
And that,
sentiment, right? Is like allowing others to flourish because you're allowing them to flourish, but supporting them during that time, right? You're
and
lifting
that
them
just
up.
exactly, and that makes everything flow better rather than trying to take over every scenario. And if they do the same, then you get some awesome moments.
See, I think the issue that a lot of people may run into is that not everyone is obviously on that mindset, right? The idea that a lot of players are new to roleplay, so that's another thing, right? So if people are new to roleplay and they haven't done any, they just like the idea of playing a quote unquote character rather than just a Red Dead Online dude or a GTA Online dude, right? You kind of just play yourself there, right? With your boys or and your girls or whatever, you know, your mates. You're just playing yourself in on GTA or Red Dead. But people like the idea of it, but then don't necessarily, not to their fault either, don't do any research behind it, right? And that's the thing, is that when these new players are going into these scenarios, the role players may shun these new players, right?
Yes.
In some respects, the idea that, oh, like, they're just playing a self-insert. Well, maybe they're new to RP, and I think that's where role players are at fault sometimes, is that we're not giving the grace necessarily to the players, because they could be brand new, right? And it's down to us to without like mansplaining or over explaining to these people, it's down to the more experienced role players to help guide those kind of players, right? And not just shit on them so that they never play role play, because ultimately we want to curate a decent community of role players ultimately that know how and respect what role play is.
Yeah, and I think I got kind of lucky that I ran into groups and people that kind of gave me that breathing room to experiment and learn. Because even now, if like at the risk of sounding cocky, like I kind of know what I'm doing to a larger extent, even though I still feel like I could prove a fucking lot. Because there's some great role players out there that I would love to reach their level. Um, but that what was I getting into? That way, um, sometimes you get like these people who are new to the server, like you say, and they don't really understand what you're putting down, because sometimes roleplay dictates that you put on a little bit more showmanship or a little bit more extra everything, and they're kind of like saying like, why would you do that? Like, they're kind of confused by it, and some people kind of like get turned off by that and kind of tell them off. What I think is then up to people who are more experienced to like teach him in character without breaking character. Like, no, this is the way we do it, and this is more fun. And then once you have that experience, it clicks in your brain, like, oh, that's why we were doing this. Yeah.
I think, from my perspective, I think if I was to ever give advice, and again, people can listen to my advice or people can not listen to my advice, but it's just my opinion, right? At the end of the day, is that if you're going to join a roleplay server, maybe watch some streamers, perhaps streamers with a higher viewer count. Maybe just browse through them all for like 10 to 30 to an hour. Do like an hour's research on each player that's streaming on that server, and just view how they are role playing prior to joining the server, like, or creating your character. Going into a server, my first piece of advice for new role players would be do a little bit of research. It isn't just about your backstory. It's not just about your character. It's about the server as a whole. How are people role playing? What are they doing that's different, and making it more immersive for other people? Ultimately, immersion is like the number one point of fact that people need within a server, right? If people start talking, like, I've seen a stream as of yesterday, last night, I heard someone singing like "Big Girls, You Are Beautiful" in a Red Dead server. I'm like, bro, what the fuck what am I listening to, dude? Like,
Yeah.
that song came out like what, 7-8 years ago or some shit, 10 years ago maybe. At this point, I'm that old. And I'm like, how are you singing? And there's some things in RP servers where I'm like, you're blending, and the servers are allowing it, but of course, but you're blending. And I'm guilty of this as well, by the way. So don't get me wrong, but for a serious roleplay server to allow people to rewrite and re-record songs from the 2000s and onwards, and have them be sung and played within the server is kind of a bit weird for me, right? Like I don't know if you found that like it's kind of immersion breaking. I'm getting off point here, but I just think I don't know what I'm thinking, but like basically it blends into the question of realism and stuff. I guess you could say.
Yes, you kind of have to, I guess, realize what time zone you're in or what the world is around you, right? It's kind of important to, in that etiquette, then to not break other people's immersion by going completely off board, right?
Well,
That's kind of what you're saying.
yeah. That was my
Yeah.
point. It's basically like the number one point of fact of role play is immersion, and as soon as you start breaking people's immersion, even as a new role player or as an old role player, people are less inclined to be around those people. So taking into consideration when going into a server and some is definitely something to think about at least prior to you actually creating a character. Like, how do you want to interact with people, making sure that you're respecting the other people around you. I think that was the main thing from my point,
Yeah.
is that understand that like you may have your role play style, but trying to respect those and those around you is good. Now there are definitely certain different servers where you can not force roleplay on people, but you can kind of curate roleplay on people. And I think there's many different servers that allow and have people that will just go yes, and the improv way, like the idea that okay, a story is just being created out of thin air for me, so I'm just going to roll with it. And there's definitely servers where they're like, oh, don't do that to me. Oh my god, like I'll talk to admins about you. Like, what? I mean, look, I'm not forcing you. Like, I'm throwing water on you, mate. Like, don't don't cry to admins about it, bro. You do know what I mean?
That's actually a good shout though, because like you say, it's yes and is like something I try to like roleplay by. Always say yes to scenario every time, but there's no problem with drawing a line in the sand, right? Like if you can perfectly viable to say in character like, no, sorry, I don't want to do this, right? But you don't have to cry about it or be disrespectful about it. You can just be like, no, I don't want to do this, right? You can just say that, and that's people understand that.
And that's the thing, right? So that should be where it ends, right? If you like, say for example, like you're trying to sell me a lantern, right? And I don't actually need a lantern, and I don't have the money for a lantern, and I'm saving up for something else in character, I'm well within my right to go, not today, thank you, Clem, I'm all right, like it, maybe there's someone else, right? But you can continue the conversation a little bit, but you can say no and, right? You don't, just because you say no doesn't mean it has to be the end of the conversation. Also, saying no allows you to then, like, you don't have to, like, even if the other person's like, oh, are you sure about that? Like, maybe, like, and it's well within their right to try and sell you an item or whatever the story is. Ultimately, I think if you feel uncomfortable in a roleplay scenario and situation, if you're new or old at roleplay, just remove yourself from the situation. There's no need to complain about it after the fact, because like, unless it's like a really obscure, weird interaction, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go into details, but like ultra weird, then obviously go and report people or whatever for if you feel unsafe or anything like that. But I think different scenarios call for different measures, and just reading the room is definitely a crucial thing that every role player must do, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think with that we can kind of transition into the next one, right? Like,
Yeah.
next question: why Red Dead or GTA? Like the differences between those two servers. Perhaps you can start with your experiences with that.
I think like Red Dead is just way more immersive, in my opinion. I think
100%.
and I will say this, and I say this to anyone. I said this to a friend of mine, Fixer and stuff, is that you're forced to roleplay. Okay, like you're like you're given a nuzlocke straight away. The idea that you have to base your character in a time straight away, so you're instantly like. Whereas GTA, I can just be me talking normally. Like most
Yeah,
people don't do a voice in GTA, right? They're just playing
because it's
themselves.
all familiar, right? Yeah.
Exactly, because it's literally set in, what is it, early 2000s or late 90s, right? Early 2000s, I
Uh,
think.
early 2000s starts of smartphones and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's a major thing for a major difference between Red Dead and GTA. Obviously, the timeline, but the timeline in that like forces you to act a certain way straight away. In Red Dead, which again, like, don't get me wrong, people can be self inserts within Red Dead roleplay, um, somewhat, but again, it doesn't last long in terms of them being called out for just being a self insert. I think. Um,
Y- y- yes, yeah.
but
But again, it's
that's in my opinion the major difference is that like Red Dead is such a slower paced roleplay experience, which helps breed great and longer storylines. And I think GTA, because it's so fast paced, the stories reflect because of how the pacing of the game and the
yeah,
pacing of the servers.
that was kind of my opinion on it too. I really enjoy GTA 2. But the pacing is totally different, right? Like in GTA, if you want to meet up with someone, you give them a call, they don't pick up, all right, they're not around. You know that
Or
you know it.
jump on the radio, right?
Yeah,
You kind of
exactly.
know, like you are given the tools to just interact with people instantly.
And in Red Dead, you kind of have to send a tele, and if you go somewhere, a meeting place, and they don't show up, you can't just call them and be like, "Oh, where are you?" You have to wait for them, and then something else might happen, and everything feels a lot more like for example, say I try to meet up with you, but you don't show. Um, I can't call you, so I have to wait, and then later I'll see you, and there'll be a whole story attached to that, right? Or I might have been gotten robbed because of that, etc.
Yeah, I think like as a player, I find it annoying as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I do think Telegram tag and meeting simulator or trying to arrange meetings and everything is probably the bane of my existence on Red Dead, like from past up to now. And then like plan, like it's almost like as a content creator, you're trying to plan somewhat content for your stream, and then
Yeah,
one slight thing may, like, or like someone being in queue, right? Because the server's full and they can't jump in. So then you're like, okay, I can't, or like, IRL stuff, OOC stuff. That's kind of dictates that evening. And then, it's like you can't really plan too much content in comparison to
mm,
maybe
I,
GTA because,
I think that's why GTA RP streamer wise is a lot more popular too, because you can kind of plan ahead and kind of get into things straight away. While in Red Dead, it kind of has to happen, which lends itself to more immersion, but also makes it so that you can't always, like you say, really make a stream fun packed for people to watch, right?
yeah,
Uh,
it's a blessing and a curse. I think as well. I think Red Dead like helps build stories, right? It's like we tried to do it on GRX, like building a slow paced story, um, on Grand Theft Auto, and it was working for us, but because we made it work in that situation. But a lot of the conversations regarding what was going to happen and such was happening OOC as opposed to in character, right? Like we would plan things for content and then work it around days that we knew we were both going to be around. Um, whereas we don't have that necessary option because we're reaching out to other people to be involved in stories in character in Red Dead, right?
mm,
Um,
y- yeah,
but yeah.
but it also boils down to, like, I guess, finalize the question mechanic wise, the way the game plays, right? GTA just feels more arcadey than Red Dead does, right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Like the way you
yeah,
have to play the game, right? It's still a game you're playing, and the way your character moves, the way you interact with objects, the way a horse moves, etc., etc. Like just a totally different gameplay that lets to different role play.
yeah. I think that's the difference of like what 14, 13 years and 7 years, right?
Mm.
The GTA being out for
A lot, like
double the
14
amount of
years.
time than pretty much double the amount of time as Red Dead, right? But it'd be interesting to see GTA 6 and the pacing of GTA 6 in comparison to Red Dead and GTA 5. Like the map being 10 times bigger or 5 times bigger. Blends like that Red Dead. Like, yeah, you can get in a car, but you still got to drive fucking 15 minutes to get to a city, you know, if you're living out on an island or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm super hyped to see that city in person. I cannot wait. But, you know, I've only got a PC and an Xbox One S, so I don't think I'll be playing it until maybe
Anytime soon.
yeah,
Anytime
until the
soon.
year after, unless I go and spend 400, 500 bucks on a PlayStation, which I don't want to do. Personally, but yeah.
I guess we can go over to the next one then, which is a bit more of a detailed question. So we got some general roleplay questions out of the way here, that may help some new people. But how about the next one? How detailed should a character backstory be?
You can start with your answer for this one, and then I'll jump in.
Personally, I don't like to make them too detailed. I kind of hate that, like for applications, they kind of ask you to make a detailed backstory, because I'm personally like I can understand the importance of a backstory because you do need to know what your character is going to be going in, but I think you have enough with like just some basic character traits. I don't like to make it too detailed because I feel like you lock yourself in a certain place, but you do need a backstory to go into a server so you know who you are and what you're going to do to start off with, because you do need that initial mission or goal to set off, right? But you don't want to make it too long-winded because then, you know, what story are you going to create if you already have a full story to go in from the start, you know?
Yeah, from my perspective, I think write your backstory however long you want to write that backstory. Make it long as fuck. Make it more detailed than anything. Would advise if you're gonna have aid from like a chat GPT or any AI assistants, that you have them maybe write you a backstory and then you rewrite that in your own words. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, if you need ideas for backstory, you know, use those tools available for aid, but you definitely don't just copy and paste straight from ChatGPT, because they will AI check the whole thing. But what I'll say is a backstory is proof to the server that you are able to write a character description, and understand what roleplay actually is somewhat. When they read that, they're just gonna be like, okay, this character has some unique traits that maybe they haven't seen before, right? It's just about exposing you as a person, and how, like, most applications are really just, how do you write? That is it. How good is your English literature? How good is your English language? That is and what's your basic understanding of roleplay etiquette and what is roleplay, right? It's just proving that you are a storyteller, and that's what roleplay servers want, especially serious playing servers. They want people who can tell stories effectively. Now, some people are dyslexic and stuff and aren't able to write. That's why I advise, you know, just rewriting ideas. But realistically, your backstory can be as long as fuck, as detailed as fuck. It doesn't really matter, because you don't have to take your backstory into your character at all. You could write 50 points of detail for your character, and you could take 5 of those points into actual character. You could say, like, you know, 5 points. He's from Boston. His dad was a plumber. He smokes a lot. He drinks a lot and he gambles a lot, right? But there could be 45 other points that you made in your description, but you could pick those 5 to have as your crutch to when you're introduced. Oh, where are you from? I'm from Boston. You know what I mean? What you did? So don't overthink that you have to use everything that you've written in your a backstory, because you can lean into your character more with what in growth, like that's what you're saying, like your growth of character can be more natural that way, so you don't overthink the backstory, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's something I actually did when I first made my actual character, because we all have a process to go through, right? Initially, you kind of make a bit more of a self-inserted character, but then, as you role play more, you kind of want to experiment with those more actual characters. And the first time I did that, I kind of had like a five-point little notepad on screen next to me that I could like reference to make my decisions based off. Uh, so like you say, you don't have to keep in. You can write it out, but like take out five maybe and kind of use those to role play with, and have them next to you on a little piece of paper or on your screen or whatever. And if a situation happens, you can kind of just look at it and be like, okay, how would I respond?
Yeah, and ultimately here, right, your application and your character backstory is just a way to play the server. Right, let's just be honest and be real here. You could literally write out a whole plot of a character, get on the server, get accepted, get on the server, and just make the opposite character. You made an outlaw backstory and everything. You get to the server and go, actually, I want to play a lawman. Straight away, you just completely, you don't like it. It's just a way to access the server. And the server doesn't care that your backstory doesn't match the character that you just created by any means. In my opinion,
I prove to them that you can, right?
Yeah, exactly. That you understand what roleplay is. That was all the application is. It's just like a job application. And I can tell you, in the last couple years or last year or so, I've written more detailed applications than I did final exams at school. Like I put more effort and more time, and I've put days into this stuff. So yeah, I mean, people that are dedicated to wanting to be in quote unquote decent roleplay servers and high quality roleplay servers with high quality role players, you will have to put in the extra effort. But again, once you get in and once you have access to that server, you can then decide what you want your character to be like, just off the cuff. And you could do what myself and Serukka do and let roleplay dictate your character choices. So you could end up in a scenario and you could just go, oh, I've been shot. Now I've been shot in the leg once, but that could be something you take on board and use every day. You could just then walk with a limp for the rest of your time on roleplay, I remember back in Gold Rush 3.0, in the first 2 days of me playing it, I was standing next to a guy who was hunting. He accidentally initiated a shot with the bow and arrow, and it started an animation where he kicks my leg and puts an arrow in my eye. I couldn't stop it, and then from that day forward, my guy literally had a fucking eye patch for the rest of his time in the roleplay. Now, people might not understand why 6-7 months later down the line, but that was generally just an accident that happened at the beginning of my story, and it became something that I always had.
Okay. And I guess we're already talking about it, right? So I'm just going to pose the next question and then just continue talking. Like,
Yep.
Character growth organically versus the fully written background. And you kind of started it off already. Just ties back to another question at the start a little bit. The yes and you can. I think it's more fun to kind of adapt your character to what's happening, right? Like you just explained with the thing that happened with losing your eye, and using that to further grow your character, rather than locking yourself in a certain narrow path. Like you could start a character and be like, okay, I'm gonna be this and do that, but it's way more fun to just respond positively to what's happening around you and then just kind of roll with whatever's happening while trying to stay true to your character. Sure, there's nothing wrong with kind of giving it some leeway to your moral compass of your character to have fun scenarios and then be able to build upon that and kind of have character growth organically rather than locking yourself in a single path from the get-go.
Yeah, I think I do agree. I think it's each to their own, right? You can have the backstory, an even written backstory, and if you have the ability to like use that backstory in character consistently, then go ahead. Like we're not going to fault anyone who has the ability to do that by any means. I think also we think it's a good thing for people to allow roleplay to naturally happen as well. and that kind of dictate for character growth. Again, these are only our opinions and such, and you don't have to listen to them by any means. But I think, yeah, I think allowing your character to grow over a overly written backstory, in my opinion, is what I would choose. I would use certain aspects of a backstory to dictate the beginning part. That's how I've done it. This time around in Ranch, and that's how I've done it previously. You know, I have certain quirks that I use and I stick with for maybe the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I can start letting a story build and kind of dictate my character's choices. Maybe I'll revert back to some of those things again, like this time around. My character Jack, he refers to his father a lot more. Now, originally, you know, he was an Irishman that traveled to America, met an American lady, had a kid, i.e. my character. But I adapted on that in character with the fact that he was a traveling gypsy. Now, I hadn't written that in my backstory, but it made sense for an Irishman in the 1860s to travel to America because of the potato famine and whatever else. It kind of made sense that they would actually go abroad and travel because they're travelers and gypsies, Romany gypsies, and they wouldn't just stay in one place. And well, I mean, like, Ireland's a small place and that, but America, the idea of moving to America where there's a lot more land, free land, and, you know, potentially land to own and take, would definitely suit that narrative. So I adapted story or my backstory to fit the story that was going on in character. Again, character growth written from a backstory.
Right.
Example.
Which I'm gonna lead into the next one, right? Which is kind of ties into it really, what we were talking about. How much realism should RP aim for? I guess I'll start because I do have some opinions on that that I hold quite strongly. I think the fun thing about RP is you should adhere to the rules and the setting you're in, but it's up to you to decide what matters and what doesn't, right? Like you took that arrow to your eye and, you know, adapted it and said, okay, I lost an eye now. But if you don't want that to happen, you know, don't make it a thing, right? That's totally fine within certain limits, right? If something really bad happens, there's a limit to it. But I think that's the fun part of roleplay is, yes, you kind of have a setting you have to adhere to and certain rule sets, but it's also still a game and still to make fun of, to have fun with. So it shouldn't be too realistic. Like I kind of dislike people who focus too much on realism and are like very strict about everything that happens. I feel like you should allow room for just, you know, things to not be as real because it's still a fucking game.
Yeah.
Same with like the drugs and everything. Like in Ranch, you know, cocaine makes you fast. You know, like opium makes you heal. You know, those are fun, unrealistic mechanics to put into roleplay.
I think, like, everyone loves the idea of it being super realism, all right, super realistic. But when it becomes a thing, you will lose probably 50 to 75% of your player base after a while. And the reason I say that is because people would think and feel it was a grind, okay? And this is trying to find the balance between roleplay and grind, especially in Red Dead, you know, where, you know, talking to people is very hard when, you know, you're on the opposite side of the world, right? In game. And it's telegrams and such, right? When conversation isn't readily available in terms of things like that, like it is on GTA, I think as much as people wish for it to be super realistic, and I would, you know, like, you know, you wake up, you have to have your breakfast, do you know what I mean? Like, and just doing like your daily things, like a routine, like you would do. And like, for example, the nighttime comes. So that again, like if people wanted it to be super realistic, no one would be doing anything after midnight.
Yeah.
Everyone would just be laying in a bed doing nothing, pretending to sleep. Right?
But it does. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, like, where do you draw the line at realism, right? The idea sounds great. Like, I think the right now, I think Red Dead roleplay is in the exact is probably in a really good place in my opinion. I think a lot of the servers have sorted out over the years like major issues with mechanical jobs and things like that, and it's now in a place where there's a plethora of scripts that people can use and make things enjoyable for all kinds of players. I think Red Dead is probably, in my opinion, in the best place it's ever been. Just wish we had the sort of the respect, I guess, that GTA gets, right? From like a viewership standpoint. I think
Yeah.
People tend to go towards GTA RP because it's action packed, and Red Dead is story driven with action. You know?
Yeah, but that's at the risk of getting off topic here, but that's because you can tune into a GTA stream and kind of enjoy yourself. All Red Dead, it's story driven, so you kind of have to know what's going on to enjoy
Yeah,
what.
yeah, of course, of course. But again, like to go back to the realism, I wish it to stay as it is. There needs to be fun aspects, like you said, like the opium having specific effects. I mean, that's tale as old as time. For servers, that's something that was on Gold Rush when I first started playing. Like my gang had access to opium. In fact, we used to cook opium, and that had like the same effect. Like you would get armor, basically, essentially. There were other different drugs that had different. Cocaine would be again running. So it's
I
something.
think you could summarize it in like have realism support immersion, but not break fun, right? And block storytelling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think if you become too realistic, you'll lose your player base. Is my opinion, because everyone will just feel like it's too much of a grind. Like, for example, there are easy ways to make money on ranch, right? Easier ways to make money than doing crime, but it requires sitting and standing still for a while, right?
Yeah.
With very little. But if I'm not sure how, again, it depends on economy, right? If you had a realistic economy, for 18.99, no one would have fucking nothing. You know,
Yeah.
no one would have a house. No one would have nothing. After 6 months of playing, you probably still wouldn't have that, right? Because
Yeah.
the cost of living would be what you was earning probably from doing whatever job that you could do in character. So I think, as long
Maybe
as
stuck at a factory line for 14 hours a day, right?
exactly, or in a mine, just
Yeah.
literally like you would come out just to eat and then go back in because you needed to make sure you had money for other things other than eating. So I think the way that Ranch does it, and probably the same with Gold Rush and some of the other servers, is that as long as the economy supports role play, and then the mechanics push fun into role play and some seriousness as well, is a happy balance, I think, personally.
Yep. All right. Into the next one then. The balance between serious RP and comedy RP.
That's a
Um,
good segue as I just finished off that
yeah.
uh,
Like,
with that.
it's something I struggle with quite a lot, especially with my character now, with Clem Pickens that I play right now. He started off as a very silly kind of character, just made to have like fun and be silly with, right? But I kind of got bored of that after like 5 months of playing that silly character. I kind of want to get into the more serious, crime-heavy, serious storytelling that has deep consequences to my actions, right? Um, like, how do you combine the two, or where do you draw the line? Is something I really, really struggle with, and I don't have a good answer to. Like sometimes you run into a really serious scenario, but Clem would respond in a silly way, but the scenario doesn't lend itself to a silly reaction, right? So like I'm kind of like hoping if you have any insights on this because it's something I really struggle with at the moment. Like where do you draw the line and when do you do one thing or the other?
I think it really depends on your character, right? I think maybe like my character is very serious, but is not serious at the same time. There's like an example from last night, which I'm sure we'll see. It's like there's a serious situation going on, but that you can make certain comments, right, to keep that authentic comedy of your character, whilst also being serious. I guess you can blend the both seamlessly. But in what context are you struggling to say that again? Sorry, so I can
Well,
answer it precisely.
Um, let's say I always used to kind of take a Clem would always it would be real to him, but everything would be kind of funny OOC. A scenario would happen and he would respond in a quirky way, right? Let's say, for example, the lion hunt I did. Clem thought the lion walked on 2 feet, wore shoes, and drew paintings, right? But then, that's because Clem just thinks that way, right? He's just an unserious person. He is serious, but he is just kind of stupid in that way, right? But then yesterday we were in a robbery, and say a shooting happened, right? Clem would probably, you know, I even find it difficult to explain. Like, how do you stay true to a character who's kind of quirky and kind of a bit stupid in the head, and makes everything kind of funny, without like, of course, at OOC I try to make it funny, but like in character, Clem doesn't think it's funny. It's just the way he is. But then something serious happens, like have a gun pointed at you. Original Clem would have probably, done something silly like, quivered or turned the situation around and with some comedy. But now that doesn't really lend it. That perhaps doesn't fit the situation at the time because it's a serious situation. There's fucking lawmen outside and stuff. Like
I get you. Now, what you can do is you could kill them with kindness, right? In that situation, stay true to the character. Like, say if like someone's trying to rob you, right? Points a gun at you, and you could just be like, "Well, I'm a new and improved Clem. Old Clem, like you could even say this. Old Clem would quiver at this, but I'm big and strong, Clem. Now I'm a different kind. I'm Clem version 2, so I'm not going to
I'm
quiver at
Uncle
this.
Clem now.
Exactly. You
Yeah,
could utilize some of what you're trying to become to speak. You can say it out loud to them, right? Again, it's still funny, but it's also verging on, okay, I'm trying to grow my character into something more
yeah, because
serious, but staying fun at the same time.
that's kind of getting to the heart of the problem there. I don't want to disrespect the other person's RP by being too silly. It doesn't, and by kind of acknowledging that and explaining what I'm doing, you kind of still acknowledge their RP.
Yeah, and then they understand how you're role playing in that scenario and why you might not be quivering because you're putting on a brave face, because you're telling them that you're actually going to be putting on a brave face in this scenario, right? I'll have you know, I've robbed a store successfully. I'm not just some civilian anymore.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah. So maybe something like that. I mean, again, like open to interpretation, I think, for the most part on that. But it's definitely a way that you can utilize your character's growth in order to play into those hostile scenes and serious scenes. I think yesterday's robbery was a great start and a path for your character. I think being chased down and falling off the horse. So we'll show the clip later on in the podcast, but it was definitely a way for your character to grow into a more criminal minded person. But again, keeping the Clemisms, right?
But I do think there is clear line in the sand, though, because you do have some people who just play trolly characters, which can be funny, but it can be too much sometimes too, right?
I find that a certain time of day breeds those kind of characters, and it's like sometimes I just can't
Mhm.
RP, right? And it's my prerogative as a role player to, again, as we said earlier, support their role play, but at some point it's when it's every other person and maybe you want to do more serious role play in that moment, you can just remove
You
yourself from the situation, right? That's kind of
remove
my
yourself, and I also think,
respectfully,
when people,
obviously.
yeah, and I also think when people try that comedy, do that comedy role play, and that's their character, when they take over every scenario, that's when you're crossing a line, right? You have characters who come in like you're having a conversation, and it's fine to be a silly character and come into that conversation, but don't take over the whole scenario or scene with that character. I think then you're crossing a line when you're completely hijacking a scene that's happening.
Yeah,
Right?
agreed. I think
Yeah.
I think that goes down to experience as well. Like people with experience and knowing how to role play would understand that you shouldn't be controlling someone else's scene,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Especially if they put in the time and effort. That goes back to our original point. Just research and understand and be open. Like the main thing for me as well, right, is I think across the board in every server, everyone just needs to learn to take a fucking L, dude. Like
Yeah.
the
Definitely.
oldest thing in the world. Like understand that losing isn't the end of the scene and isn't the end of the roleplay. Like
And it's
understand
such a
that. Go on, sorry.
and it's such a cliche to say, but it's so true. And like I feel like people hear this all the time, but they don't take it to heart. Taking an L or losing is so much better story than winning every time. Like, well, 9 times out of 10, taking the L just leads to a better story than winning ever could.
The only thing that winning enables you is to take items or gain
Mhm.
loot. That's all it is. And I mean that may help progress a story um for you guys, but understand like, you know, there's stories to be had going to jail, having interactions with law. Ultimately, law doesn't really get much interaction unless they're arresting people, right? For the
Yeah.
most part, in most servers, they're just ping chasing, right? So,
Mhm.
and if
Which
we don't have law, we don't have any criminal RP whatsoever. You know, it's yin and yang. Both have to exist in order for life to exist, the server to exist. Like you can't do nothing if there is no lawman, right? So
Since we're kind of talking about like good RP, bad RP, I can kind of lead into the next question. Can rules alone fix bad roleplay, or does it come down to a community mindset? I think you have a more outspoken opinion on that one, so I'll leave it to you.
just repeat the question. Sorry.
Should can rules alone fix bad roleplay, or does it come down to a community mindset?
It'll come
Like,
down to community mindset. Like rules can help push the agenda, right? And as long as you have a an active moderation team that impose those laws and rules on the server and don't make exceptions, while I understand that banning everyone for whatever, speaking somewhat out of character sometimes, may just push people away, um, you can't have everyone just breaking the rules all the time and taking advantage of the server. So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then all if everyone was able to break the rules all the time and such, you're just going to allow and breed like shit roleplay, right? Basically, and no immersion in GTA or Red Dead doesn't matter. Um,
yeah. And then if they kind of keep a close eye on that, then the community kind of starts policing itself, and the community mindset becomes. I guess it's a very important at the start of it. As long as they cultivate that community mindset, the community will kind of take care of itself, right? I
Yeah.
think it kind of goes in tandem.
And then it goes on to streamers, right? The people that stream and the content creators within that server, the ones that have the role of content creator, the ones that are advertising that server, need to be the ones that are producing content and streams that are rule followers. Like 100%. They need to be the ones that are going by the code of conduct and showcasing high quality roleplay. So when people tune into those streams, it's like, oh look, that's how we should be role playing. That's an example. That's a great example of someone. They should be setting the best example for new role players and old role players from different servers that are coming into that environment. Like if you don't have that, you're just going to, like you say, you have someone who's speaking OOC in character on stream as a content creator, then you're just going to have people coming in thinking they can do that. Simple as. So as long as the community is strong and the ideas and the ideals of the server are for the server and for the community, and then it'll create a great environment for people to role play in, and people enjoy that. Like as long as you're there to have fun and enjoy yourself, then everyone will have fun and enjoy themselves with you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that community is very, very important because roleplay is very much action reaction, right? So
Yeah.
having people, clear and concise answer actually. Can actually just go straight to the next one then. Is heavy moderation good or bad for creativity? Because it kind of leads into the same thing, right? I do like so. The question is heavy moderation good or bad for creativity?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think moderation is necessary, but I do sometimes think it's overbearing um, here and there, which is maybe a sign of the times a little bit. But I do think there should be more. It's a difficult question because you don't want people to rule break, but I don't feel like admin should police uh, storylines. Does that make sense? Or
Right. So
like,
the way I would put it, moderation is fine, but micromanaging is not.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Do not micromanage someone's RP unless it is a rule break, right?
yeah,
That
exactly.
that that,
Yeah,
that that's all I got to say, right? I've been micromanaged on my RP, and I just it was disgusting, to be
yeah,
completely
it is,
honest, and it turned me off
and
playing on that
demotivating.
server. So
Yeah, exactly. It demotivates you, right? And you get scared to do things because you're like, oh, am I going to break a rule here, right?
and someone like myself who, I mean, Rockefeller is a great example. Shout out, Jesse. Like he would say, my mindset towards roleplay is by the book. He would call my character by the book, as like his quote unquote nickname, because I would try to do things by the book all the time, and like there's a reason why I've never been banned from a server in 5 years, 6 years of role playing, right? It's because I read the rules, I understand the rules, I've watched enough streams and role players and high quality role players to understand what is allowed and what's not allowed. Again, going into each different server, everyone should go and read the rules, so 100%, or just have that page available to you on a second monitor. If you're going into a scenario and you're unsure of something, you go and check that. Why not? Why would you not check it? Because you can micromanage yourself. You do not need to be micromanaged by admins, right?
Yeah,
You can be
especially
moderated by admins, but you can't. I don't think you should be micromanaged personally.
it's actually a good thing, like a good tip for everyone, actually. Like, and I try to do it too. If you know you're going to go into a certain scenario, read the rules on that section like shortly before you do it, so you know what you're getting into. Yeah.
The rules shouldn't dictate your role play, but they should guide you.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. I think there's a grey area in some rules, right? But just if you're ever unsure, just say no. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be safe that way. And the last thing you want to do is interrupt your storylines that you may have going on elsewhere, just because your ignorance to reading one paragraph or one sentence, two sentences. You save yourself a lot of time and a potential 6-month ban. You know?
Yep, which is painful.
Yep.
Uh, continue on with kind of admin and server questions here. Do game mechanics help or hurt roleplay?
Too many ruin the server, but it is
Yeah,
a necessary evil in the day and age of roleplay that we're in.
yeah, and I think it kind of ties back to GTA roleplay. Some servers, there might be some random servers that I haven't explored yet that go into this mistake too. If you make it too gamified and too many mechanics, people forgo roleplay and start treating it like an MMO. Uh, and you don't want that to happen. You want to facilitate those game mechanics, right? And have people give people stuff to do, but you kind of want to tell them like, okay, we give you some things, but please, this is a roleplay server. Roleplay, don't just rely on mechanics.
Yeah. So one thing I would say with GTA, they focus more heavily on heists and things of that nature, right? Because that creates content, that creates clips, that creates player base because of clips and because of the content, right? And then that server can be self-sufficient. People are buying tickets to join that server, meaning the server's making a shit ton of money in order to then pay specific people to write new scripts, right? What I wish there was more of in GTA that there is in Red Dead is there was more role-play enthused mechanics, things that push roleplay, i.e. the simple thing of like books, right? Like having those in like a GTA, for example, it would enable people to go, or like say in Ranch right now you can buy tables, chairs, things that you can set up your own literal fucking business anywhere. Like if they were able to enable those in sort of GTA RP, people would then be able to explore like, oh, I can run my own stall, I can just open my own shop anywhere, right? Again, I know it they would be able to do this, and I know there's servers that have done it in previously, but even like there was a server I played a long time ago called Solid Dove after my first stint on Gold Rush, and
Called what now? Solid Dove?
it was called Solid Dove. It was ran by someone that was on a friend of mine, Adam. He was a main admin, but it was run by people that are on No Pixel now. It was a small server. They were on like Prodigy and No Pixel now, I think, for the most part. No, we met one of the owner actually. She used to work in the she was on, I think she was on GRX as well. Anyway, the server, like basically the difference between any other server and that server is that was the first server that ever introduced individual body pain. So if you got shot in your leg, you wouldn't be able to walk properly, and you would see it on your character. And like
kind of like you had a No Pixel.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and this was before No Pixel. And then also things like going to a kitchen in a house or wherever, you could make your own meals like you would be able to in real life, right? But what, like, kind of like Red Dead in that aspect, right? You go to a cooking pot,
things together in a pot.
exactly, and you could then create your own business out of selling food, right? You didn't have to have a government owned, but like think like those kind of mechanics basically implore and push role play because they give you something, give you a means to go and role play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the mechanics, though, you do need certain mechanics that people can engage in just purely on a mechanical standpoint, like a robbery or gold panning or whatever. But mainly the focus should be on it being a crutch for you to then expand upon, right? Like you say, cooking your own meals, or giving people mechanics to then go and start off businesses and stories, rather than them always having to use a fully fleshed out mechanic. They can use a mechanic, expand upon it, and create something original.
Right, because I can tell you right now that Prodigy is one of the most successful servers in GTA RP, right? And someone who's played that a lot, I can tell you that is a Grand Theft Auto MMO. There is experience, there is levels, there is more experience in different avenues, right? You have abilities, you have perks. Like, it is literally the definition of an MMO.
And that's fine if people enjoy that, right? But it
Yeah.
doesn't facilitate roleplay, right? It goes against roleplay mindset, right?
There is roleplay in it, but it is very hard to actually roleplay if you aren't already with a group of people that you already know. It's
Yeah.
certainly very hard for a new person to go into that roleplay and be a serious role player. I would say you'd have better luck making a stupid character and becoming a lawman, like becoming a police officer, and being like a quote unquote weird funny guy, you know?
Yeah.
Because people are more likely to roleplay or try to roleplay with you. Going in there and being like a semi-serious gangster or whatever, it's very hard. Very hard, and it's very daunting. Obviously, there's a lot of big streamers and stuff in there, and it's very easy to kind of interact with those because there's events and things all the time that happen where you'll be in and around those kind of people. But yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
All right. That's an interesting question. How do you keep a character interesting after months or years? I think it's a difficult one, right? I never played a character for years. I have for months, but usually like I've been played roleplay. Like I started playing roleplay a long time ago, but like the way I played it now with you has been for like 3 years, where I'm actually joining like servers and try to roleplay, right? I never played him for more than for a couple of months. I think Clem right now is the longest I've ever played a character consistently. I do get bored after a certain play style, right? So I just decided for myself to pivot and do something else. But I can imagine if you start off as a criminal, you kind of get bored after 6 months, right?
It really depends on the person because, like, again, this could go back to the backstory, or like before you start your character, you could just have a timeline, like you're writing a film, right? Or you're writing a script for a film or a book. You write you write how you want to end, right? You write how you want to begin, and then the rest is just natural role play in between, and you just let the story
You mean
dictate.
set out a goal, or set out like what do you mean, like write out a goal for yourself that you want to achieve, or you
Yeah,
mean like write out a clear?
like, oh, you write how you want to kill your character off, if you ever want to kill your character, or how you want to leave the server with that character, right? Or leave the county, so to speak. But you can carry on role playing, perhaps as a different character or as a lawman or whatever, right? But like, again, you could write the ending. You kind of write the beginning with your backstory. You write the ending of like, he dies upon a hill, or he dies in a duel in Armadillo against like someone he'd built and like a arch enemy against, right? Or whatever, right? And you die in a duel, right? And you purposely lose that fight to die or kill your character, or you win. Like, you set the scenarios there, and then you just, when you feel it's right, I guess you can. But realistically, every role player goes through burnout and boredom of a server.
Definitely.
And I'm one that has kind of fluttered between servers because of that. I think not only this is what I kind of feel bad about some of our friends currently, right? That we roleplay with. Is I feel bad that my roleplay wasn't enough to keep people interested to stay.
Yeah, but it's not really.
It's not our responsibility, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But I also feel a responsibility to others to keep people motivated, because I want to be motivated by them, if that makes sense.
It's give and receive. That's definitely
exactly. And it's like, I felt more motivated because I was getting involved in stories, and I was excited to wake up every day and see what happens on today's stream or whatever, right? But now they're kind of like feeling that burnout, which is completely fair for those guys, and it's a shame. But I understand it. But again, it's like, I can't help but feel somewhat helpless and somewhat responsible for the way that they've gone. And now my story kind of like, that's why I'm streaming, because it's like I've been focusing on grinding, shall we say,
Yeah.
to like, you know, to push narratives and stories to the next chapter for everyone. But I can't help but feel responsible that the introduction of my character and what I could bring wasn't enough to kind of reinvigorate their love for RP or the server right now, you know? Like,
I get what you're saying, but like, and I do feel that sometimes too. Like, you try to pitch something and you kind of feel the energy ebbing away, and you kind of feel responsible for it. But in the end, like, what I have learned though is if you get inside of your own head a little bit too much, it kind of negatively affects your role play, right? And it's something you should try to avoid. If that makes sense, right?
no,
Just
yeah, I
do your
agree.
best.
I
Yeah.
agree. And like, again, I'm not gonna cry about it when I get off stream. I don't give a fuck, right?
Hmm.
Like, OOC, I just wish that they were there to roleplay with. That's all, because I enjoy role playing with them, right? And I understand that
Yeah.
there's burnout, but I wish that, you know, you said like, after, like, how do you continuously keep on with a character? And I genuinely think the only way to actively do that is allowing, like, if you're feeling like you're in a bit of a rut with your character, take a couple days, come back, and then allow your character to go on a random story with someone else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be the main character 100% of the time. Allowing you to be a side character for someone else's story, like kind of like
And
Jack is right now with Clem. Clem's like, I've got this idea for an opium den. Clem's got an idea for the moonshine. Jack right now is like, okay, I'll write it out with you. Let's go do some things, right? Let me give you some ideas. Let's see if this can work for you, right? Like, it's not my story at all right now, right? And I'm quite happy to continue doing what I'm doing for my character, because I'm riding on the coattails of someone else right now until I'm
and I would
ready to go and do something for myself, you know?
and I would also say, like, don't be afraid to completely change up a character, right? Like, nobody will fault you for it. They'll find it, like, perhaps odd, right? But like, you could either, if you don't want to kill off your character and start a new one, you want to continue playing a character, but you don't know what to do. Don't be afraid to completely change it up. If you're a criminal, why not go fully legal? Or vice versa, or get addicted to drugs and kind of have a downfall that way, or whatever. I do think if you put the effort in, it's definitely possible to keep something interesting. But obviously, if you're burnt out, and if you don't want to play, because I do think it's important in role play, because if you're not having fun, don't play, because then everybody suffers. Your role play suffers. Other people notice it. But if you do put the effort in, it's completely possible to change something around and keep it interesting, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, and to keep things interesting is hard, because sometimes there's just not interesting shit going on. And I think in those
Mhm.
times, maybe, you know, maybe there's some, like, realistically, a lot of the people that have been here for a year, maybe, there's things that they haven't done. I mean, like, you've been in the server for 5 months and you've only just robbed a store. And you've been a criminal for the most part for that whole time, but just not a criminal that does store robberies, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
setting, you knew going into that, probably after a few weeks, maybe a month, that you weren't probably going to rob a store anytime soon, right? Like, roleplay
Mhm.
wasn't really dictating that for you. And then you probably went, right, when the time's right, maybe I will go and do that. You know
And
what I
I kind
mean?
of forced it and I gave my character a reason, right? Because it wouldn't have made sense. Like, I understand this is where people struggle, and I understand it, right? Like, it wouldn't have made sense for Clem to suddenly do it. So, I gave him a reason. He received a letter from his wife. Wife is sick. All right, I need money right fucking now, right? Uh, so, like, changing a character up can sometimes be weird, because, like, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. But you can always OOC come up with a bullshit reason and roll with it, right?
And I
It doesn't
think,
even have to be too deep.
as well, right? I think how we conduct our OOC conversations is something that most role players should have. Someone to bounce ideas from back and forth. So
Mhm.
if you're ever, so for, like, the advice would be, if you want a continuous character to go on and keep interesting, have someone that you can speak to out of character about your character that can give you
Mhm.
ideas, advice, and suggestions that maybe you hadn't thought of, because ultimately you could have writer's block, right? Technically,
Yeah,
whatever, you know,
definitely
you could
can.
have an idea
Definitely can.
block, for your character, but someone else may have the answer to the question. And ultimately, if you ask the right people the right question, they will have the right answer for you. Or they give you an idea, a fresh idea, or a fresh take, or a specific way to handle that situation. But again, these are just ideas, but people can take on advice or not. But I definitely think it's wise to not just, there's a reason why companies and successful businesses have idea rooms, right?
Yeah.
Where they
Better off
have
doing it in a group, right? Yeah,
exactly,
brainstorming
they
with other
have
people. Yeah.
they shoot ideas back and forth between a group of people, and then they come to a consensus of something that will work. I think that's a tale as old as time. That's why the Knights of the Round Table had a round table full of whatever, however many people. It's the way that, it's diplomacy at its finest, right? You can definitely find an answer if you ask the right question, and you're willing to ask the question to someone, I think.
Yep. I can kind of tie this into the final question before we get into some clips and community questions. Because we're talking about talking to each other here, right? Which is a gray area, of course, which is meta and the consequences and how to navigate it. Because meta, the definition is using character information gathered outside of character in character, right? But it's way more elaborate than that, of course. So, like me and you having a discussion about our characters isn't meta, right? It's getting ideas or discussing an RP scenario and trying to build up upon that. But you always got to guard the line that you don't give out so much information to one another where suddenly the role play becomes lackluster because you talked it all over in DMs, right?
Yeah, I think you can have open discussions, right, about role play, and even meta information, right? But as soon as it's used, it becomes meta, right? Now, me and you discussing how we want a situation or a scenario to go, like in GRX, for example, like we want to set up heists, we want to set it up like this and create the scenario. It's fine, but we're not writing the script. We're writing the scene. We're not writing the script. I think that's a big difference, right? In the OSC conversations that we've had about scenarios and roleplay, is that I could even tell you that, oh, John, he robbed me, so we need to get our get back, right?
But then you would have to tell me in character.
Yes, but because I said that OOC doesn't mean I'm gonna say that word for word. Like, I could be like, well, I ran into old fucking John the other day. He held me up. He pushed me against a tree or whatever, right? I create the scene and the scenario and different script to, information that was potentially given. Obviously, it's not been given because I haven't been robbed by anyone called John. But as an example, like, and to understand that if people think that people don't have OOC conversations in roleplay about scenarios and scenes and previous interactions, is ridiculous. Everyone has those conversations between their groups, whatever, private DMs or whatever. It's just the way of the world that people conversate, and people are always going to conversate, and people are always going to conversate via Discord, right? Because it's literally a hand-in-hand tool with roleplay, creating a community server and such. So,
and you kind of need those tools because some things cannot be said in character.
Yeah, of course,
yeah. Just it becomes a problem when you use information you haven't learned about in character when you use it. When you use that information in your in the game without having learned about it, or if you see something and then how to cook moonshine and you immediately incorporate that into your character without actually having learned it in character, then it's when it becomes kind of a problem, right? And it's it's kind of easy to talk about that line, but it is a gray. It's also very easy to cross that line, right? I just say that, like, I think any sensible person, like, maybe if you're not new to roleplay, kind of stay clear from that. But if every person who's been around for a while kind of knows how to navigate that and can go about that sensible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You want to watch some clips and then get some community questions? We've got a.
We have got a few more community questions coming from JS Smizzle recently.
Will you share your screen so I can watch?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just ended the. Okay, 1 second here. Right. So I've chosen some. I just mixed up some Summit 1G Can't Stop Laughing at Funny GTA RP clips from 9 months ago. It's only an 11-minute video, and then I've got a Chuck, Rami, and Leah Carmella funniest moments from RDRP CG. This was 3 years ago. This was in Gold Rush. Again, we can. I don't know what I have. I want to watch your recent TikTok as well. But let me switch over. Okay, you can hear me all right, yeah?
I can. Yeah.
So listen, Judd needs some company while he's hanging out at the race.
Okay, we'll do company.
Yeah, we're almost there, don't worry. I didn't hear what you said, but I got you.
What sort of company are you after?
He says he wants some company after, Judd.
Is it like in the back? Is it like
yeah, the guy's in the booth,
Yeah.
I think.
What's your
Hold on, I missed what.
sort of company are you after?
He says he wants some company after, Judd.
Yeah, what's your
Yo, Rabbit Head, thanks for the 20 giftos, brother. Man, GTA sounds fun. Go back, be a racer. I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go this way.
Stop. We're gonna get right.
I'm gonna go this way now.
Like derby.
I'm headed this way.
Oh my God.
I'm headed this way.
Stop moving.
Check this out. Watch how fast I can go when I do this, though.
Oh yeah.
When I do this. Hit it!
Okay, tell him.
Bam! See that?
Ain't no way.
Bro, I still gotta lose them, bro.
That's I can go when I do this. That's actually clean, huh?
That was fucking. That was
That's actually
genius,
pretty
that
clean. When I do this.
That's the thing with GTA though. You get more of those moments, don't you? Yeah.
See that?
Look at that. Off he goes.
I still gotta lose them, bro. You gotta understand that. Like, I don't even know how to get you guys out. Do the go. I had to get the boys.
Jesus.
Watch this, look.
This will forever
Oh,
be
I'm taking
one of my
cover.
favorite Some of its lyrics.
Oh my god. Dude, what, dude? Listen, man. These guys are so fucking bored playing GTA. They will do everything just to entertain themselves. Oh
How long has
my
that guy been playing
God.
roleplay?
Who? Come on.
Oh, I'm taking
Yeah.
cover.
Like 10 years, 8 years now, I think.
That's crazy.
Every day.
Yeah.
I'm getting shot. I'm getting shot.
He has a break, tiny breaks. We're talking like
That's absolutely wild.
plays like skate for a day or a couple of days, right? If roleplay's getting a bit slow, but I mean they jumped on Red Dead briefly for like a month, maybe 2 months. But other than that, it's been GTA solidly. Again, it's about he has a community of people, right?
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah, that kind of followed him around, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea that he bounces ideas, I imagine he bounces ideas off the other people, and they're all streamers, right? So like they all are content heavy. So if they can kind of think of ideas, maybe, but he does tend to just roll with things, and you know, they utilize the mechanical things I think well in GTA RP to keep things fresh for them. There are
I enjoy watching Gabon. I think he's funny and everything, but like I can't watch him consistently because I think he's a bit too. I understand, right? He's been role playing for a long, long time, right? So it kind of gets stale. But like I feel like it's a lot of it is just shooting, right? The storytelling lacks a bit for me.
Yeah, I guess like, and that's the thing that's kind of the state of GTA RP. There's always going to be a lot of shooting, especially when you're the most notorious gang in roleplay. Not even just in the server, but Chain Gang are the most notorious gang. if you asked any role player if he knew who Chain Gang was, whether it's Red Dead or GTA RP, you can fathom that they're gonna say yes. You know.
Yeah, I got your back if you need it, bro.
I swear to God, you better get the
I got your back. I was just getting your back. I was just getting your back. Okay.
Oh. So stupid. I'm a fucking criminal.
You asked if I have them. Okay, there's two different questions. There you go, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bro.
Yeah, I got your back if you need it, bro.
I swear to God, you better get the
I got your back. I was just getting your back. I was just getting your back.
Yeah,
Okay,
Ziggy.
okay. I think
Yo, play early RP days with Ziggy was some of the funniest shit, man. He was great, dude, at showing me a good time.
back in the
RP.
front seat. I have to get back in the front seat.
No.
Okay. I think okay. Let me just jump to the back. Okay. Let me jump to the back. Okay. I'm jumping to the back. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Who's here?
It's a good example, though, of even the cop kind of going along with it, right? Not
Yeah,
taking it too
exactly.
seriously. Yeah.
And I mean, this was No Pixel 3.0, I think.
Shoot them, okay?
Do you hear that? If
That's
either
what
of you
sets
get
good
the
roleplay.
front
At the
seat,
height
I'm going to
of
shoot you
roleplay
dead
on
square
GTA, I
between
think.
the
This one.
eyes.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes,
This is when I first started on No Pixel at
Wait,
3.0.
is this Hassan?
Yep.
I was like, listening to that voice. I was like, wait a second. I actually didn't RP too much with Hassan.
Lovely advert.
Lovely.
You know, can I just tell you, I'm so sick of hearing about this fucking car.
Thanks for the bike.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, bye, Carter.
Oh!
Oh, what
you
the?
f***ed your shit up.
You got me, bro.
Was that
Oh,
scuff
he
or did he actually
f***ed
manage
it
to
up.
jump
I
on?
think he tased him, and then he jumped on his bike midair.
Get him. Not done.
You bitch.
We're getting shot at by two helicopters. They're chasing us westbound San
How
Andreas.
fucking sick of a scene is that, dude?
That is.
They pulled off. Stop.
Like when I see this, I
These
kind of
guys
miss GTA sometimes because it's
Yeah.
like the action, right? But
Killing, brother. Oh, here they are.
yeah, every once in a while you just
I
get
would
that
stand
bug.
clear.
We'll be fine.
Think so? All right, good luck, my friend.
Croc is hilarious,
Might get
guys.
easy
Or
I'll get closer.
that guy on the
Scared.
left. What was his? It's not Croc. What was his name? Dundee.
I think that's a problem. Is I keep swapping cars, and you know, it's like, I feel like there's, I don't want to say specific lines, but you gotta figure out how a car drives.
No. Just go the other way, pizza boy. Road's closed. Ah, fuck.
I almost kidnapped Chester.
All right, we're moving out. We're moving out now.
No, Bobby.
Oh my God, let me in. Let me in. Let me in.
You're not getting that car. Leave the area.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Ah, mother.
Don't get it, dude. Get in that car. I'm good.
I'm gonna die
Yo, where
first.
this Turismo? He keeps on ramming officers. Essentially, open fire on.
Going for cuffs.
Get in that car. I got. He just ran over an officer.
Get out the car, mother. Get in.
Hey, there's a lot of chaos happening, man.
Get out of here.
Shots are fired. Be careful. Get cover.
I mean,
I'm gonna chase you out if you don't get out.
obviously they're very
Prodigy just needs to
like
make it so you
talented people,
can't
right?
move
But I
your
do wish sometimes I
character.
had that talent that they have. Just fucking
I got taste.
turn everything, and their clips obviously too, but just to make everything.
Yeah, I mean,
So
this
fun,
is.
fun scenario, right?
This is the type of
do
shit
have
I
that
don't
talent.
like about
Yeah, I'm with Summit on that. Like, this is kind of
Makes me
like
feel better. I don't like this as a crim.
that was like very
Prodigy just needs
cringy, you
to
know.
fucking hunker down and get rid of the moving while cuff shit. It's so stupid. After you get someone handcuffed in No Pixel back in the day, you had to make a serious play as the gang members to get him out. Now it's like just go do stupid fucking reindeer games around the cops for a little while, and eventually he'll get into a fucking car. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of stupid. It's like one way is really taken seriously, right? The cops have to be taken seriously. You don't have a choice. Your boy can't move. So you either have to start a gunfight or roll up and get him in the car quick, dude. You don't get second chance either. You know what I'm saying? So it's just way more hardcore that turn out into cooler situations, in my opinion, than just fucking Ratchet running around in fucking circles like a dipshit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm doing it.
Shut the up.
I actually thought Rami was talking. That wasn't Rami.
I speak natural Rami, you know? I speak fluent Ramstein.
I literally thought that was Rami talking.
I don't even talk again. What are you saying?
I literally thought it was him. It's too funny.
Yeah, well, maybe you should caution the coker if you heard this.
The spit must have like pulled up at that point. It was drowning.
Think about it though. Listen, only the original, the 4 people who were thought of the Shadi on the top on the original 4 for the plan.
What? What is that? What the f is he saying? Does anyone have any idea what the hell he just said there?
I'm gonna talk to Chang. So when Chang wakes up tomorrow. Yeah. Because let's be honest, if we're gonna, dude, Eddie, we'll take here. Wait, what? Now, what's going on, Dean? You like that, right? It's, I call it 360 720 tomahawk maneuver. Right? Peep. And I robbed the shotgun off X. Dude, what way to end this book chapter is if we kill him with the gun that he told. And we got off the guy that he pointed out for us.
I have no clue what you just said.
The candidates behind me and the candidates that have been in the past are all just piggybacking off of what the foundation off of what the mayors that began the city laid the foundation. I'm here to create a new foundation.
You talk about the roleplay sometimes it's a bit jump.
More communication between the city. I'm here to also provide a gap. I'm here to bridge the gap between the PD and all the citizens of Los Santos as well.
I'm here to provide a gap.
Good speech, bro.
Bridge the gap.
Bobby, if you ain't walk Manhattan at 3 a.m., bro, you ain't valid. So we're all just liars now.
Liars.
First of all, I want to thank everybody here for coming out. Shout out to Diamond Sportsbook, DLC
Sportsbook.
Real good. Honestly, you want to auction? You want to auction off the car that when it's come to or announce the auction?
I think Rami has one of the best like kind of laughing screams or something. You guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know if. You guys know what I'm talking about. He does this scream he does. That's like really iconic. Let's call Rami back. He's our boy. Hopefully he's not too busy. I wonder what he was calling about. He might be busy, guys. Rami, I got. Hey guys, that's what I was talking about. Guys, that was the laugh I was talking about.
Right when he answers the phone.
What kind of mechanic is that?
It's a grapple hook.
Wait, what's the plan again? You go, and then we all jump out and shoot?
Okay, I don't know. I don't think I sound exactly like that, but yeah, some kind of, yeah.
Oh, he's getting
funky. Boys, they're on me. They're near the gem sales. Gem sales!
What?
Boys,
nobody watching the entrance,
they're on
bro?
gem sales.
Go to gem sales now. Go to gem sales now. Go to
Gem sales! Whenever you're fucking grinding, just make sure you bring all that fucking gems to the jewelry, shut the fuck up. Come to the fucking gallery. I'm going to sleep. You guys have a fucking good night. Fucking grinders, man. I'm sick of this shit.
Wait. All right. Do you want to put in a link?
Yes, can do. Want me to DM it to you, or?
Yeah. Just DM it. I think they're pretty funny. I think CG is some of the funniest RPers, especially when you put it in the context of just small. Okay.
You are meaning the robbery, right?
Oh yeah, I mean I can.
Yeah. I don't have any clips. I don't have any features prepared to the.
Oh, okay. Let me just copy message link. Oh no, let's not do that.
I got guns trained on you. Don't do anything fucking stupid.
Bit of context, I guess. This was the robbery we did.
I got guns trained
last
on you.
night.
Don't do anything fucking stupid.
Which was one of the more fun things.
All right. Let's go.
How did it go, Slippery? Got it. Got it all.
Well done, Slippery. No, it's good because, right, it seems the lady you told to disappear from the dock actually stole my horse.
These are for dead. Oh, you were talking about the beginning?
Yes, he was saying that one. Oh no.
Mustn't feel good. Yes. Now you know how it feels, Sticky.
Nice.
Run. Go.
This is all going to shit. No, Jack got away. No, go to the meeting place. Wait from there. Is that you? Okay.
It's me.
Let's get the shit out of me. No fucking way. No fucking way. How did you manage that, Jack? You ever been on one of these, Carl?
Your accent there. You ever been on one of these, Carl?
Uh-oh. It's gonna get rough. Hold on tight.
And then you went back into character. Have you ever been on one of these, Carl? I was hoping you were going to put in the bit where we're walking off with the fishing rods.
I thought of it, but it was kind of hard to fit it in. But like these clips, it's kind of hard to like encompass the whole story, right? But for me, that was really one of the most fun RP things I've ever done. The way it all went south first, you not having the horse you were supposed to, so we thought you were lost. You know, we're on a shitty fucking horse, and Carl taking a tumble, telling me to run because I thought they were like right behind us. They just took a wrong turn. They went right instead of left. We went left. They went right. We kind of got lucky that we lost eyes just as we went over the hill and then crashed. So I thought I was all completely on my own, and then to see everybody return, that was some fucking epic shit, man. It really was.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite experiences, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely was. Hopefully we can get that again, but that was so much fun. It's kind of hard in these clips to always capture, like, you know, what truly happens. But yeah, obviously you can't post 30-minute clips, you know.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you could do a 30-minute clip on YouTube and you use the TikTok, but again, it's managing the time, managing the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to do those kind of things, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That is a very big, difficult thing if you have a full-time job. You want to play the game, you know, you're streaming it, you got a household to take care of. You know, if you really want to do it correctly, everything, you just need a shit ton of time. I will say, though, if anybody has, like, clips they want to share, you know, we'll probably put the link in to the Discord in the video, you know, and share them, and we can maybe review them next time, right?
Yeah, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, which is where it's going to be posted, there will be links in there for the Discord, so come and join the community if you feel like, you know, you're a supporter and you're in the community of roleplay, whether it's GTA or Red Dead Redemption. Feel free to come through. Again, this is like we will put it out, ideally, you know, this is kind of, we will upload this for the community of Discord, but we will ultimately put it out for the world to see. It's kind of hard to make a private video for people of the Discord. But yeah, obviously, there'll be updates, and the green room is like a community that we're trying to build that just supports roleplay in general. A lot of our friends play on different servers, whether it's GTA or Red Dead, different kind of servers as well. We're just trying to help build a community that supports those role players across different platforms, as it is very hard as a streamer to move from server to server. As people may know, you may have a solid viewer base when you're in one server, but you move to another and you have zero, you know? So we're trying to bridge that gap. In the famous words of Rami, we're trying to bridge that gap, you know?
Bridge the gap.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's get on to some community questions because...
Yes. How long have we been going for? So I can...
it's nearly an hour and 35 minutes.
All right, let's do a few
is.
community questions, and then I want to finish off with like a very final question that I'm interested in hearing. Do you have a community question you want to answer, Clusty?
Yes, I think Jake Zeus, Mr. Jake Zeus, posted in the Discord. Out of these questions, I think, one that we haven't answered, right? Do you see it as a problem when staff on servers are below average role players? I'll let you go for your answer on that first.
Yes. Well, I understand there needs to be admins, and like, understanding rules is perhaps very important in that. But we both had experience with this, right? Like if an admin like has to make a decision and they're like, not that good at role play, they might be fulfilling that role as admin quite well. They have to make decisions on certain things, right? Or interact with the community, sometimes even in character, because admins do have to get involved in character quite often to facilitate storylines or stuff. If they are below average, it can feel really disheartening to interact with that, right? And then get told off or try to push a certain narrative and then getting a response that's very lackluster, and also knowing that they have the ability to, completely derail that. Then you know what I mean. It is. I think it is important for staff to be good role players. I really believe that to be the case.
I agree. I think the process of hiring staff members on a server needs to be stricter, and I think their experience and showcasing their talent should be part of the process. Personally, like if you've got to showcase an extreme amount of talent to write a backstory and application to even get in the server, the process to become a staff member should be 10 times harder than that process, in my opinion. Because then only dedicated people for the love of roleplay would actually wish to go forward with that. I think, like just having every Tom, Dick, and Harry because, they want to have some control over situations or have the meta information available to them, and then being able to, give that information over.
Because I think everybody who's role plays for quite a while, right, without name calling or whatever, has experienced power tripping admins, right? It is an issue in community-driven things like this, right? It's not a problem often, but it does happen sometimes. And if it does happen, it can be really, really disheartening and really can throw you off of that server. Admins really have to set an example, both in roleplay and to abiding to the rules, right?
Yeah,
if that doesn't get done by an admin, then it all goes to shit.
Okay, all right. Right. Do you want to pick a question out of the ones that we've been sent? Yeah.
You have to kind of answer that one. Let me. What makes RP servers alive and immersive? I think is a pretty good one. And I think I have an answer for that. Actually, it's like the little things, not just storylines, but encountering little quirky characters who do random things. Like in Ranch right now, having Susie, whose whole gimmick is selling flowers and gathering herbs. Encountering. It's up to the community to create that, and having those kind of people fill in those roles. For example, just having a banker who does nothing but pretend to bank. You don't even have to interact with him. It's all done through /2s, where he pretends to do the banking for you. Or we even had a guy in the Telegram station for a while, just pretending to give you and receive your telegrams. That can add so much immersion and makes things feel so alive. But it's really up to the community to do that sort of silly gimmick, right?
Yeah.
That really helps a lot. So if somebody takes that
go on.
role, it's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, if somebody takes upon themselves to play that role, it's really awesome to see.
It's mainly the people. The people are what make the RP server alive and immersive, in my opinion. And people putting in the effort to make it alive, right? And giving a town meaning. Like, you could have an empty town like Limpany, right? And you could just start role-playing like they did on Gold Rush with the Solomons. That you're rebuilding the town. And that created immersion for that town, meaning more people wanted to go to that town, which when you bring life to a town and civilians and gangs and whatnot, then all of a sudden that dream of creating a town and that being alive and immersive became a reality for that one place, you know? So you can create something out of nothing as long as you're willing to be dedicated to the cause, I think. Okay. Good one, JS. I like it. Let's go back up. Is it important for owners, staff to be actively playing the server? Simple answer. Don't want to get too long-winded because this podcast will go on for hours, but the simple answer is yes. They have to be actively playing the server to make sure like, regardless of whether they're actively playing the server as a character, they need to engage in the activities that they put in, the scripts that they put in, and making sure that they actually work, right? Doesn't mean they necessarily, like, they can have like a loose character. I don't think necessarily, just my opinion, I don't think maybe having like a main character in the server is probably a good idea, because people are always, because unfortunately human beings will always have an opinion about certain things, right? And if they see that the owner of the server is getting to do certain things first, or has access to things first, they'll see that as a negative. But also, I think, like, say for example, a server owner does a bank job before anyone else, he needs to test and make sure that works. So it's kind of a one and done. But you could probably do that. You could shut down the server for like an hour and go and run that heist with 5 other admins, right? You know
what I also always liked when server admins get involved in facilitating mechanics through their character, right? Like having to go, like, there's a limit to it. It can't be too bothersome, but like, I kind of liked it in Gold Rush, for example. If you had a business application, it was like an in-game thing where you went to talk to the admin.
Yeah, on GRX. Yeah. And again, like, to show fucking love for GRX, the way that our RP was rewarded and what we were trying to do in our story by
you could engage with it, right?
Admins and owner was like, they appreciated that we were just fucking, you know, people were complaining. I can't remember what they were complaining about at the time. It was something they were complaining about, food or some shit. And there's me and you like trying to break into the fucking Cerberus headquarters and doing /do's and /hacks to make it look like we were hacking into Cerberus, right? We were being immersive.
And Cerberus was like instead of talking to them through a ticket, you would talk in character to the admins in Cerberus. So like food prices getting raised would be something you would raise with Cerberus, right?
I think
in character you would address that problem.
Yeah, so just to answer the question, I think there has to be a happy balance, but I think overbearing control in character will just result in people having negative connotations towards that owner, perhaps, or you know, staff, if they're too heavily involved in too much. I understand like the need for example, the Cerberus thing. It's an admin and owner thing but they're just facilitating other people actually having RP to be enabling RP by creating a thing in character, which again, they're still controlling that situation, but they're just taking something from Discord in character and doing it all in character. So in that respect, I think it's a good thing. All I'm saying is that perhaps people will have a negative opinion about it if it's too much, especially with the crim stuff. I think criminals will be butthurt that the other people are able to do it and they're not, right? I think it's just the way the world is, unfortunately. But yeah, on to the next one.
I think we answered all of them except for one that perhaps is a good one to kind of finish off and kind of help maybe some new players who wanted to get into RP and are listening to this. What's the best way to introduce new players to serious RP? And we kind of answered that in the beginning somewhat. We touched upon it, but I guess to finalize it, like it's up to the community to introduce people. Without the community, because roleplay is a very niche kind of game. Like the funny thing is, we know a lot of people OOC within the roleplay community because you kind of always are playing with the same kind of people. Because realistically, how many people are playing roleplay? It won't be over 10,000, right? And you kind of always encounter the same kind of people in different characters. So it is up to the community to be open-armed and accept people that are new, to not judge them, and if they're doing something wrong, to just either reach to them OOC or kind of embrace them and teach them the right way to do things so that the RP community as a whole can flourish, right? It's up to us.
Yeah, I agree. I just before we end, because we are coming up to soon to be 2 hours, I want to end on, was William Solomon the best Solomon? I think that's a funny question. And we both have
Mm-hmm.
experience, I think. I'm not sure if you met William. Yeah, I think you did. He was one of the originators, actually, of the Merchants.
I didn't interact with him much, but a few times I did, yes.
Because it was actually myself and him, Jake, that kind of started that story, and then Jesse came along, and then Jake kind of got kicked out of it. I don't know how that happened, but he did. But yeah, the question was, William Solomon the best Solomon? Now, I have two Solomons, in my opinion. William is one, and I will always have love for Pappy Solomon, because he was the first Solomon. He was actually one of the first people to kind of take me under his wing when I first joined RP in Red Dead. Was very new to it, and he kind of like, William and Pappy were the first kind of two Solomons I ever met, but Pappy would always, like, he taught me how to grow vegetables on the first time I'd ever fucking grown vegetables in Red Dead, and kind of just, always kept my character, would always have a conversation with my character, and he was like one of the oldest. He played like an old man. And he was always good. He always stuck to character. There was never OOC. But yeah, William's, like, Jake's probably one of my favourite people to roleplay with alongside Serukka. So I always have love for William Solomon. So that's just my opinion. William and Pappy are up there as two of the greatest Solomons.
Good stuff. You want to close us off, Clusty?
Yeah, all right. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who listened to this epic podcast for the first edition. Again, this is kind of, we're learning at the same time as you guys. We're experimenting with some things. I think over the next few episodes that we do, you'll see some changes with how the clips and sections are run, and there'll be almost like a PowerPoint presentation for some of the things. But I don't think it was a bad first episode, so I appreciate everyone that tunes in, listens. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe over on the YouTube channel, which is going to go up on the Clusty YouTube channel, I think. So make sure you're following all that good stuff. To all the community members that posted questions, thank you kindly. Appreciate every single member that's in there. The love and support that you've been showing, the streams and everyone. We really do appreciate it, all of you. And hopefully soon we can chuck in a few guests. This is what I'm thinking, and I'm sure Serukka would feel the same. That we get in a couple of people to speak along with these questions and hear some other opinions from the community. So if you're interested in being involved in the podcast, make sure you just mention it in the green room, Discord. There'll be a link in the description of this video for the Discord. Feel free to come over there, check it out, hang out with everyone, and check out some of the clips and the streams that will be posted in there. But for me, from Clusty, I would say thank you very much. You got anything you want to say, Serukka?
No, you did that excellently. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see each other in the streams, hopefully.
All right. Adios.
Adios.